They can even, when you go to sleep, they can give you all kind of warnings and stuff in your dreams. If you get you some kitty cats or some cats. And if you got rats, you won't have that problem no more. Just the smell of a cat. The rat ain't coming around no more. So at this particular time, it's very imperative because the Egyptian temples used to keep cats. And this is the goddess Bass, which is the venerated cat. Now, anybody saw the National Geographic special last week on the science of cats, where they went around the world and they took DNA from all the cats, and they was trying to find out who domesticated the cats. And they took DNA from all the cats from all over the globe. People sent DNA of cats from China, Hawaii, Tibet, all over the world, Europe. And then they went down to Kemet and took the DNA from the cats at Abu Simbel, which is a Ramesses tomb. And they found out that all cats' DNA lead back to Kemet, and those were the first ones to domesticate the cat. And there's whole systems of science on the cats, you see what I'm saying, that if you got a home or you got a house these days, it'll do you good. Even if you got an apartment that allow you to keep a kitten, it'll do you good to get you some cats. But if you got a house, if you don't really like cats, if you don't really want to deal with a cat living in the home, you can just get you start feeding a couple of stray cats. But it's interesting how powerful the cats are. We got a cat that the other day, dogs, let me tell you, we got a cat the other day, he's laying on his back, and the dog came up and was chilling with him. Now that's impossible now unless two dogs are raised, the dog and cat are raised together. So it's talking about there's another dimension. So that dog had to have been a form of Anubis. Anpu. You see what I'm saying? It had to be a form of Anubis or Anpu. Which is the sacred jackal of ancient Kemet. You see. We also have these black Anubises also for sale. But this, but it's interesting here about this Anubis. You come to find out that Asa Hilliard, because each person down here represents the energy field of a god or goddess. Asa Hilliard's deity just so happened to be Anubis. And when Barack Obama brought the body back home, that energy transferred to him. You see. And that's why, so by the time he went into the primaries, that's why he started winning. And nobody expected him to go past Iowa, the primaries. But it's an Anubis energy, a Camite energy, and it can use stuff down here just like a dice board or just like a chess board. There's a whole lot of things that's happening right now, very interesting times. But the gods and the goddesses are in charge. But where are the gods and the goddesses? They are inside of you. Y'all all right? Yeah. All right. I want to show this one because this is one reason why they invaded Iraq. They couldn't read the signs. A lot of stuff. They invaded Iraq. Here is two eagles. This is on one of the temples. Well, they only have a lot of monuments left in Iraq. It used to be ancient Persia or ancient Babylon or ancient Samaria. That whole Mesopotamian thing. But one of the reasons why they invaded, here is a picture of two eagles. Now eagles are not necessarily in that part of the world. The eagles that they're talking about here has to do with the United States of America. And here's a type of burning bush, which is nothing but the Kabbalah, the tree of life. And these are sephira. So this is the ancient form of what the tree of life would look like. And these two eagles are holding up pine cones. And what is pine cones? Pineal gland. They're holding up pine cones and they're holding up a bucket of water. Water is key, especially to the Fremen. Everybody saw the movie Doom? The Fremen are people that nobody thought existed. But they did exist. They did exist. That's you. That's you. If you talk about the concept of people that nobody thought existed, I'm trying to tell you around the world they don't know of you. You only know of you in Britain. And the people in the Caribbean know because that's your family. But in the United States and the other around the world, they don't know that there's a million of you. That's the Fremen. But the Fremen existed around water in the desert. They were water masters because melanin and water goes together. And how they keep you down is to dehydrate you. Dehydration and sleep deprivation. And melanin has to do with both. Melanin works with water, and melanin works through sleep and dreams. That's why they keep electromagnetic force fields or high radio frequencies going all the time, and it's just electricity. Because that shuts down the melanin. Remember in the movie Matrix, in order for them to go to the architect, they had to shut off the electricity? Well, that's what they do. You got a TV, you got all these appliances in your home, and even if you unplug them from the wall, they got a battery on the inside of them. You got a cell phone, right? And your cell phone, you might not have your plug here now, but the cell phones is going off because I've heard them since I've been here. All right, it's the same concept with the TV. You can unplug it from the wall, but they got a battery on the inside that's still on. And even if you don't unplug it and you just cut it off, it says standby. It don't say it's off. New TV says standby. This is an electromagnetic force field, you see, that's going all the time, that shuts down your dreams. And your dreams are portholes to the other world. Because that is where the war going to come from. Now listen to me. It ain't got nothing to do with some race war or them locking down. Look, you getting ready to come back. You're going to wake up one day and you're going to go, I'm back. I'm God and I'm back. The return of the great old ones. That's who we are. But how it's going to happen? It's going to happen through your sleep. That's why they got you on lockdown with the sleep and you don't dream. Because the electromagnetic force field, you see what I'm saying, keeps things locked down. Keeps the pineal locked down. Now in America, Africa, America, the Caribbean, Mexico. I don't know, do you all have fluoride in your toothpaste here?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Fluoride.
Sensodyne doesn't have it. The pink one. The pink one. Sensodyne doesn't have fluoride.
Okay. So, okay. And the water, and the tap water. It's in the water.
Yeah.
It's in the toothpaste. Fluoride calcifies the pineal gland. It calcifies the pineal gland, keeps you from the doorway of the dream world, or the dream realm. You see what I'm saying? Why are they trying to mess with your sleep? It's not how much sleep you get, but what type of sleep you get. The quality of sleep you get. But sleep deprivation is one of the #1 killers, and dehydration. You don't get enough water, you don't get enough sleep. Now, I go through 24 bottles of water in 2 days. I'm trying to tell you. You know the 24 case? I go through 24 cases of water in 2 days. That's what the Spirit had me go through. You see what I'm saying? So if you ain't, if you ain't cleaning out, you ain't shitting, you see, then you on lockdown. But water and sleep, that's why they give you jobs. And the fluoride, you see, shuts down the pineal gland. You see, all these things working against you. Why? Because they know it's in the new movie that came out last summer. You remember Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1956? Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1978. And Invasion of the Body Snatchers, it's called Body Snatchers, 1993. They made 3 movies. The last movie they made called Invasion last summer with Nicole Kidman. Now, as you know, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, they always had the pod. That detonation thing in one of my pants pockets, in that black coat. They had the pod that they put beside the body. You remember that? And the pod takes on the form of this clone or what have you. But in the new Invasion, you just went to sleep and woke up based on a microscopic organism. The microscopic organism they're talking about is melanin. Microscopic organism. Remember in the movie Star Wars, they call it midichlorians. This is some good stuff. This is echinacea, gold seal, propolis, throat spray. This is excellent. It's excellent for chemtrails. A lot of the chemtrails. And if you fly a lot, like I'm on a plane at least once a month, and that's cut that scale down since the 90s. You fly a lot, there's a lot of recycled air. And a lot of white folks are sick all the time. Because I don't care how rich they get, they can't get off that pork. You know, we get a little bit of knowledge, and that's the first thing go. But pork, but you got to realize something here. Elijah Muhammad said that pork was a medicine for them. I said, oh, that's ridiculous. That was in the theology of time. And then I learned several things that in Europe, the Europeans had all kind of disease, and how they had to become immune to the disease. They used to have to literally put mud and walk around with dirt and filth to become immune to the disease. And the people who died a lot was the aristocrats. None of them ever took a bath, but they just didn't have the mud on. You see what I'm saying? So they would die. They was filthy, but they wasn't as filthy as the people that walk around in dirt and feces. You see what I'm saying? So my point here is, if you're trying to get yourself immune from the muddy, filthy stench of Europe, what better way to get yourself immune to diseases than to eat the pig? Because the pig has all these diseases in it. And so that's why it became the essential diet of the morning. You know, the breakfast consists of all kind of hog, you know, sausage, bacon. You see what I'm saying? Early in the morning, because that was a form of immune system. That was an immune booster, or that was how they became immune to all the disease, the pig. You see what I'm saying? That's how they became. So my point here is, it is a medicine for them. But they have this recycled air on the plane, and I can tell the difference. They have this recycled air, and they sick a lot. You see. And, you know, you're flying on the plane and all, you know, so I have to take this Echinacea Gold Seal throat spray based on that plane and stuff. But anyway, going back, where was I at? Invasion. The movie Invasion, you just go to sleep and wake up a new person based on a microscopic organism. That same microscopic organism they said in the Phantom Menace Star Trek was called midichlorians. And they were talking about, these are little intelligences. So now, let me explain this to you so we can understand what magic really is. It is said, anybody have people die, and your mama, your sister, your brother, your father, and immediately you can start dreaming about them. Well, you couldn't when they was living. You can just dream about them immediately. That is because based on the Hermetic laws, which is the laws and the sciences of alchemy that the ancient Egyptians dealt with, when your ancestors die, they go to live inside of you. That's why the African will say, you know, I am standing on the shoulders of previous ancestors. Well, there's a metaphysical aspect of that that meant that they go to live inside of you. Now listen to this. If we take this basic Christianity or basic, if you could go from Christianity to the Book of the Dead, it doesn't matter. We know that all of that is talking about a future kingdom being founded. A future kingdom being founded. A future paradise being founded. A future state of higher elevation being founded. Well, if it hadn't been founded yet, then when your people died, then where do they go if there's no kingdom to be founded? You see? And Michael Talbot's book tells you this is a holographic universe. So, but you hear things as the universe or the heaven is within. So if there's no place that is founded an establishment of a higher realm, because we know that all religions and all spirituality talk about this being established in the latter part of that particular spirituality, then where do they go? They have to go inside and live inside of the DNA of you. Now, I was in Cleveland, Ohio. This is all talking about magic, because we got to demystify it to tell you where all this stuff is coming from. It's coming from outside of you and your ancestors, which is on the inside of you. Now, I was in Cleveland, Ohio about 5 years ago. About 4 years ago, sister came up to me crying and all. She said, I went to Africa. And I went to Africa, and all the Africans, I think she went to Mali. She said, oh, I went to Mali because I knew that was my roots. Traced it back. And all the Africans, they would come up to me and see me, and they get to running. She said, every last one of them saw me, they would run like I had the bubonic plague. And she said, I don't know what it was. She said, all I know is I got this mark on my chest, or like a keloid on my chest. My mama had it, her mother had it, my daughter got it. And she said when I went to Africa, they would look at that mark and they get to running down the damn street. She was crying. She said, I don't know what the hell to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what this is about. I said, we'll get on the spiritual plane and find out what this is about. Apparently the science that these Africans had, that they can mark, let's say your family was a thief. Because it's a cruel thing to do for generations, but they didn't have jail systems because the fuckers had magic. You heard Dr. John Henry Clark say they didn't have jail system. They didn't need no damn jail system. They dealt with a nigga the right way proper. So, if you was a thief, they would put a mark on you in your DNA based on some magic. And that mark would be on you and your family for generations. You see what I'm saying? For generations. And apparently some of her ancestors was thieves. And they put a mark on her. Here she coming back maybe 500 years later. And they running down the street because they know what time it is. But they wouldn't tell them. So I had to break the bad news to her. I said, just keep your ass in Cleveland. Because apparently this mark on you is not a disease. It's not life-threatening. It's just, it's when you go to Africa, it's got a little bit of problems over there. You know what I'm saying? Now this is interesting because that means that they can take magic and put into your DNA and it can jump generations because it's in the molecules in the cells. So they have proven that the ancestors reside inside of you. So what is DNA and cells and genetics? They are nothing but spirits, ancestors. This is some amazing stuff. You see. And so they can have, so you know, one brother said, I got to go down to Florida and get some shit up off me. I said, man, you're the nicest brother I ever saw. So who would put some magic on you? He said, I some stuff my great-granddaddy and them had on them. And it jumped my mama and them and came straight to me. You see what I'm saying? So that's the kind of science that they was dealing with on a molecular level. Y'all all right? Yeah. Now this is a profound thing. This sister named Sharon Carter wrote the Mark of Voodoo book. She came, you know, to Atlanta. We had her to come in, and she was over in Benin. And the most remarkable thing she did say, and I thought out of all her stuff, you know, out of all her stuff, that was the most remarkable thing she said, because she held back a little bit, because she didn't think black people was advanced enough. And she was surprised that, shoot, yeah, I had about 9 years of me. Are you crazy? So, but she said something profound. She said when she got over to Benin, Africa, she said every African in the village told her about slavery in America and in the Caribbean and in the diaspora. She said, well, how the hell would you know about slavery? She said, there ain't no books, ain't no university, ain't nothing for miles around. You see what I'm saying? How would you know about slavery? They said, no. What happened was, when some of the ancestors from this area died in slavery and was freed from the body, they would come back to home and they would tell us all about their experience in slavery. I thought that was some profound shit. There's nothing new under the sun, and I know now, never say what can't be done. So they knew all about slavery because their ancestors, once they was released from the body, they would come back home and tell them all about what they went through. That's the ones who couldn't fly home. Because some of them in slavery, here goes again, the magic was relegated to certain things. There was a time when all Africans used to fly. But then as time went on, certain amount of knowledge deteriorated and it got lost, and then it was relegated to certain families. So what happened was in the Western Hemisphere, in the Caribbean and in the United States and what have you, South America, they had some families that knew the science on how to fly. And what happened was when they got over here, immediately they flew the hell on back home. You see, there's documentation based on the people who could fly. Now you know that because how many people have dreams and they flying in their dreams? And how many people more and more now are having dreams and they're flying in their dreams? Huh? All right then. That means that that's a possibility. There's an old Richard's tale that you can take a baby fat from a human baby and rub it all over you and you can fly. You see what I'm saying? You know, we don't get that extreme, but there got to be other methods because sooner or later, because your DNA is changing on you, you're going to be able to fly. Y'all all right? Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Just a few other things before we go into this magic. Let's see if I can see a couple other things. This is interesting here, how life imitates art, or art imitates spirit. Let me see, can I find this thing right quick? This is the picture I'm trying to say. Look, this is the picture of the god Ptah. This is the god Ptah. Look how he's standing. That's the god Ptah. That's the one who fashions the bodies on his potter's wheel. He's a creator god. He's also a form of Osiris. But look at this particular picture here. Can you see that? This is the god Ptah. But look at this picture here. And nothing is by accident. This is Josephine Baker. And look at the stance. Everything is everything. Now, Ptah fashions men on his potter's wheel, which means he is a pioneer. Well, she was a pioneer in the entertainment world, you see. Just interested in certain things, how certain things go down. Look at this. Now, remember I was telling you yesterday about they got this, and if you ever go to Paris, which I mean, it's only an hour away on the train up here or something. If you ever go to Paris, this is from East India. Somebody was wondering yesterday if this is a black nation. Well, Elvira Gandhi said it was a black nation to President Carter back in 1979. Here's a picture of the Madonna and Child, which is, Mary and Jesus, Horus and Heru and Isis. Here's a picture of East Indian form of the goddess Lakshmi, which is a form of Aset, and a child the head is cut off, but it's a Christ-type child. But it's no mistaking this is a black woman. Look at them thighs and that booty. And look at the dreads or the locks in the hair. This is one that they give to the, so like I say, in Asia and India, because you got the black people, especially black people in Asia that they sequester to this day, if they hadn't killed them all off. And in India, they got just millions of dark black people, blue black people. The Dravidians and all that, that these statues later on these gods became these white-looking gods, but they used to reside with the Dravidians, and they were Africoid. If you want to say a Cushite, because that's Indus Kush. So this museum called Gimé, it's a small museum in France. People go to the Louvre, but the museum in Gimé specializes on all the black figures that China, India, Tibet, that they want to get rid of because they don't want people to know that they're black nation. They ship them to this particular museum. And this is in the museum of Gimé, but people don't know about it because it's a small museum. You see that? Now look at that, and look at this picture here. Nothing is by mistake. Nothing is by mistake. You see what I'm saying? Now I was talking about this picture a couple of years ago, and then I saw this on Time magazine, which is virtually the same thing. You see what I'm saying? So my point here is, just keep your mind open when it comes to this election that's going down. You see what I'm saying? Because something happened when he went back to Africa. When he went back to Africa to his grandmother, which was this dark-skinned black woman from Kenya. Okay, yeah.
Okay. All right, we're going to do the libation. So, does everyone know the procedure? No, you don't? You will. You know, basically, we're going to do the libation of the Orishas, the Neters, the universal energies, basically. These are archetypes which reside within you that Mr. Bobby's been speaking about. Basically, we're going to be calling them out. There's going to be some names that sound unusual to you. Some sound very usual. When we call out the names, you call that? Yeah. We say Ashe. Ashe just means, you know, it's you know, authority, power. You understand what I'm trying to say? It's power. It gives it that oomph at the end. You understand? So we'll be saying Ashe. Okay, so we're going to be calling out these deities. As we're calling them out, we'll be saying Ashe. Ogun, Ashe. Oshun, Ashe. Yemoja, Ashe. Olokun, Ashe. Asa, Ashe. Happy, Ashe. Kumote, Ashe. Happy, Ashe. Netsu, Ashe. Geb, Ashe. Nut, Ashe. Jupiter, Ashe. Mars, Ashe. Mercury, Ashe. Pluto, Ashe. Neptune, Ashe. Saturn, Ashe. Leviathan, Ashe. Ilu, Ashe. Anu, Ashe. Inki, Ashe. Tahuti, Ashe. Come on.
Ninti.
Ashe, Ashe.
Start naming them out.
Ashe, Ashe. Come on, let's start going, man. Ashe, Ashe. Abatala, Ashe. Olaru, Ashe. Orumila, Ashe. Ashe. Eshuelega, Ashe. 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 No. We're doing deities first. Ashe. Konsu, Ashe. Come on, let's start talking about Ashe. Ashe. Upulupulu, Ashe. Ashe. Down all the way though. Ashe. Okay. Ashe. Ashe. Rahim Kuhuti. Ashe. Ashe. Come on, let's go. Oh yeah. Ashe. Ashe. Come on. Iroko. Ashe. 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 Buddha. Ashe. Krishna. Rudra. Ashe. Vishnu. Ashe. Shiva. Ashe. Ashe.
Ashe.
Come on, let's go.
Ashe.
Any more? Ashe. Surah. Ashe. Come on, let's go. Ashe. Ganesh. Ashe. Ashe. Setuk. Ashe. Anubi. Ashe. Pluto. Ashe. Ashe. Aset. Ashe. Aroko. Ashe. Ashe. Uranus. Ashe. Ashe. Oh God, no. Ashe. Okay, we're going to be calling out the ancestors now. If you got people in your family who have passed, don't be afraid to call out their names. Family members, people, scholars who have passed away, we'll be calling them as well, calling on their energy as well. Brother C. Freemanel, Ashe. Efrolu, Ashe. Marcus Garvey, Ashe. Bob Marley, Ashe. Tolerance Putin, Ashe. Peter Tosh, Ashe. Sojourner the Truth, Ashe. Felicia Johnson, Ashe. Apostle Wanawo, Ashe. Brother Kuma, Ashe. Ashe. Dr. Sali, Ashe. Come on, let's go. Ashe. Ashe. Neputiti, Ashe. Neputari, Ashe. Ramesses, Ashe. Dupos, Ashe. Hannibal Barker, Ashe. Ashura Barker, Hanaka Barker, Ashe. 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 Amelie El Shabazz, Ashe. Noble Drew Ali, Ashe. Ella Fitzgerald, Ashe. Miles Davis, Ashe. Julia Holiday, Ashe. Ashe. Bob Marley, Ashe. Bella Ransom Kuti, Ashe. Come on, let's go. Herbert McCauley, Ashe. Nadia Zikwe, Ashe. Come on. Ashe. Oh, definitely. Ashe. To all God. God, no. All ancestors, no. Ashe.
Right. There you go. All right. Wow.
All right.
Y'all having fun? The energy, the spirit, rolling. The spirit is definitely rolling. That's all good. Don't worry, it'll evaporate. Oh yeah, there you go. I'll give you a little on my head too. Oh yeah. All right. So it's interesting here because when they went to Kenya, the grandmother came out and she was talking to the reporters, and she had a bowl and she kept stirring that bowl, and she never stopped stirring that bowl. You see what I'm saying? So, despite things happening, there's magical forces and the agenda that other forces got, this thing is happening, and this thing is bigger than a political agenda. You know, I can say you messed up when you put that African or that indigenous person on the road to power. Y'all all right? Yeah. All right. It's okay. A few other things here. This brother here, this brother right here. Well, I want to show two things right now. Remember I showed you Seshet. Remember I showed you Seshet. And this is Seshet, which is the goddess of wisdom, knowledge, learning. And she who is foremost in the house of books. Well, in India, and this is a lighter picture of her, but her spirit still shines through. In India, she's called Sarasvati. Sarasvati, the goddess of music, wisdom, higher learning. And there's a peacock that's right beside her. Now, it's interesting here because her husband is called Brahma. But in Hebrew, I said yesterday, Brahma is known as Abraham. These scrambled the words. It's the same thing, and Brahma is older than Abraham. But Abraham has a wife called Sarah. Brahma has a wife called Sarasvati. So what are we talking about here? Are we talking about a lineage of a people that is exclusive when we talk about the Hebrew thing? Or we talk about one of many mythologies that somebody historicalized later on? And ultimately, you know what all those particular spirits and them gods is talking about in the past? They're talking about us in the future. So they say that they would write the future and tell the future, but the future would be for a later day race. They say most of those deities that's in the past never existed until now. They were talking about a future generation. So the gods, the Nettas, the Orishas, and all of them, although they were spirits, in the incarnation period, as far as the people on earth that they was talking about, when you hear these stories of earthly people, they were talking about a later generation. We are the people that's fulfilling that generation. You see what I'm saying? You see, because they have no historical evidence a lot of time for these particular people. You see? And so this is how some these things go on. Moving right along. Now, in America, I want to show this to let you know that this beast is still on his game. You might have heard about this. In America, they got a basketball player called LeBron James. He's a big star in the NBA. In Vogue magazine, get this right, Vogue magazine recently, back in May of this year, and I don't care what nobody say, if you got doubts about whether some energy, it doesn't matter about some political thing. This is a picture of Barack Obama and his wife. Now, you got doubts about any type of thing. This got to be a very powerful picture. I don't care who you think it is and what political aspect you're saying, because one thing they don't do, they make sure that they don't never show us in a loving embrace on the media. They show the white boy as the lover, and he's the most insufficient. But they never show the black man or the black woman in loving embrace. Even the Cosby Show, you ever seen him Bill Cosby grab his woman and slob her down? Hell, the Brady family was always kissing each other. And that is because if they don't show you in a loving embrace, somehow they can dehumanize you. So you're not considered human if you don't have any romantic shows or romantic cinema. When the last time you saw a black romantic cinema? You see what I'm saying? Now I got to give her credit, because I didn't really think nothing of her until she made this movie called Last Holiday, Queen Latifah. And it was a movie, it was Last Holiday, and LL Cool J went all the way to at one part Holland or Switzerland or something.
Paris, France.
Paris or whatever, to get his woman. And they ended up back in New Orleans in a restaurant together. And that's probably one of the best love stories we had. It was brief because they make sure they don't show us in love and embrace, and because they know if you don't never see the black man and the black woman together, in some kind of way, it makes you not human if they've never shown in romance. You see what I'm saying? They can dehumanize you. You see, this is interesting how these things go on. They can dehumanize you if they don't show you in romance. So this picture right here is worth 1,000 words. And all over Atlanta, they got this picture. The black community has got this picture, and somebody's blown these pictures up 11 by 17, and they selling them. And they're selling them all over Atlanta. Because something is resonating with that. They got T-shirts right now, the Obama thing. Years ago, it was Tupac. Everywhere you look was Tupac T-shirts. In America, all black people are wearing is Obama T-shirts. So my point here, it don't even matter if he wins or not, which he is, because McCain ain't going to make it to the end of the year. That's right. He might not make it out of the summer. You see what I'm saying? And he get ready to die. You see. But just this alone, the image of this alone, you see what I'm saying? We've never seen nothing like that. Just the mere fact that he's standing before thousands of people, they hug each other. That's a powerful sign. And that's Isis and Osiris. That's what that's about. And that's one of the reasons why they don't never show this. But the simple fact here is, it's Isis and Osiris. You see. And that's why they don't show it. You see, in that particular, that iconology. So I just want to put that up there. But, moving right along, a few other things. This is LeBron James on Vogue. On Vogue. You heard of the controversy. You heard this thing, they put him on Vogue, and he's holding this white model in his hand, in his arms, and they got his grind like doggone King Kong, but they got it from this picture here, same green dress, with King Kong holding the white woman. This is where they got it from. This is where they got it from. They took this picture of 2005 with King Kong holding the white woman in the green dress on the Empire State Building, and they came back and they had all these sports figures and entertainers, and then they put him with the same pose, grinding just like doggone King Kong. Now what are the messages they trying to say? It means that they are still at work. And this is an international magazine. You see what I'm saying? And they put this here. And the problem here is this. Sometimes they'll do things, probably in your country too, they'll do things as a monitor to see where your consciousness is, to see whether you get mad. Now, they'll see whether you are just dumbed down to the point that you don't care. Now, in a regular situation, people were supposed to step to Vogue and burn down Vogue headquarters. You see what I'm saying? Because we backwards. We'll burn up our communities when we get mad. We're not going to go to Master's house. They're supposed to burn down Vogue headquarters to send a doggone message. But they can do this to monitor to see where these people's consciousness is now. So it got a few little arguments on the internet and a few radio shows, but it never made a national issue for somebody to call you an ape. You see what I'm saying? Never made a national issue. And sometimes they do that as a monitor to see where our consciousness is. You see? And that's exactly what this was about. That means whenever we thinking, oh, you know, it's just a new day now, they are still saying, no, it's warfare all the time, always, because we're a warfare machine. You see what I'm saying?
He interviewed him as well, didn't they? He wasn't too bothered about it.
Yeah, they interviewed him, and he wasn't upset, or he became an apologist to it. You see what I'm saying? But then again, on the other ones, they picked the ones they already have a profile on. Let me tell you how deep this thing is. This ain't nothing but, because Hakeem Matabuti said that this wasn't nothing but a new form of slavery. Because when they get tired of your ass, they trade you to another team. That's like selling you down the river. You know what they did back in the National Football League, the basketball league about 4 or 5 years ago? When they had the draft and they was picking them, they had their profile. Well, he has a chip on his shoulder. He has an attitude. They was profiling them based on their pathologies. like they were cattle or like they were slaves, right on national TV. And nobody thought about it. Nobody said anything about it because that's how dumbed down we are now. You see what I'm saying? And they do these things to monitor. So this just went down in March. You see. So, and this is April's magazine. They come out a month before. This just went down in March. You see what I'm saying? And they do this to see where people's consciousness is. You see. And that's what I was trying to say. We just drones. You see. We just drones. You see what I'm saying? No thought capacity. It's called automaton. We're on automation. Get the book. Because you try to understand how things go down the way. When you say, why people ain't waking up? Get the book Opening of the Way by Isha Swala de Lubitz. Don't ask me how to spell it. Isha Swala de Lubitz. You can get it by the author or you can get it by the title. It's called The Opening of the Way by Isha Swala de Lubitz. And they talk about how you got some humans that's enlightened and some humans are on what is called automation or automaton. So these zombies you see out here, that's not conscious, that's automaton. It's like automation. It's like something is running a machine and there's no thought process. Now you know it's interesting because the woman Sally Ann Glassman, she got a book called Voodoo Visions. They also, her and another guy, Louis Martini, they wrote the New Orleans Voodoo Tarot deck. Well, they went back down to Haiti and they found out that zombies, there's a magical zombie that you can take a person, put his soul in a bottle, or you can do some operation and have a zombie come to the point whereas it can work for you and it's just this robot for you. You've heard about that type of zombie. But they come to find out when they went down, there was so much zombie in the mythology, they said, well, what is this talking about? They said, no. A zombie can also be a race of people that's dead. So they talk about this division of spirits, this community, this priest community, and there's a zombie community. So the dead folks out here, I know you got a lot of them right here in Britain. That's how the Haitians call that a class of people called the zombies. That's not necessarily talking about the magical ones robot. They're just talking about a race of dead people. We got our zombies in America. It's very interesting here. Very interesting. Another spirit that is now on the scene and is very powerful at this time is Big Mama. Big Mama is called Yemenya or Yemonja in Yoruba and Santeria. She's called Emiya in Dogon. That's the key. Because I did a tape called Emiya, the Rise of the Dogon Goddess, and she's the third star of Sirius C, the third star in the Sirius star system, Emiya, the planet of woman that will rule in the future. And Yemenya came back to the planet, and I told this story, how I went to this voodoo preacher's house, the voodoo priest, and he had a bathroom done up in blue to Yemenya. So the vision gave me, he said, when you go home, do your vision to Yemenya and Emiya in turquoise. So I did the whole bathroom and part of the house in turquoise, the drapes and stuff in turquoise. And you would think that she was decorating, but I did most of the decorating, going back and forth in the store, because that's when you get possessed or obsessed. So I did the whole thing in turquoise, and then when Queen Elizabeth had to come over to America to bless this Roanoke colony, and all the white women showed up in black, and they showed up in pink, and they had their hats on. She bust up in turquoise. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then we got the channel, they said, well, hell, she got her soothsayer, she got her psychics. And the psychics said, wait a minute, the energy over there is turquoise based on Yemenya, so she broke out in turquoise in America. And she went to the Kentucky Derby, she had on aquamarine, lighter form of turquoise. So don't think that they ain't on it. They following us while we following them. You see what I'm saying? But then again, she got nigga in her family. See what I'm saying? You heard the whole Queen Charlotte thing and all? You see? Something rotten in the cotton. You see? So my point here is, but Yemenya is on the scene, real powerful, but also Emiya. You'll hear about that Emiya in the Sirius mystery book. My water. The Sirius mystery book. I think there's something right there. Yeah. in the Sirius mystery book by Robert Temple. Ennead is the third planet from the star system Sirius. Now, I'm going to talk about another thing that is going on right now. And then we're going to go into a couple of rituals and different things like that. I'll give you a list of rituals and things. We got something for everything. Healing, money, because I just... Huh? To bring down the system? Oh, most definitely. That's already happened. But we work at that every day. That's a good one. We work at that every day. We're going to get into all that because you can do it. We can do it with the weather. The Nation of Islam used to say that the white man can't lock up the weather. Can't lock up the tornadoes and the rain. And a lot of things that's happening right now, those are people. Remember now they had a guy, an African priest, that they got mad in South Africa, and he made it so it didn't rain for 6 months. Now that night, 6 months. And you see what I'm saying? And it made sure that half of them couldn't get no sleep. So there's things that happen to bring down the systems, but we're going to deal with that, all of that too. We're going to deal with all of that too. But what was my one thing that I was getting ready to go into? Yes, I was getting ready to go into something. In 1950s, there's a British occultist called Kenneth Grant. Get my glasses right there. Or those yours? Yeah. I tell the story. I had 20/20 vision.
Don't even go there.
Till she came to town, I hooked up with her, and all of a sudden, I started going blind as soon as I hooked up with her. I guess because she was wearing glasses. But there's a symbiotic relationship with stuff like that. I throw it in my bag. You see, there's a symbiotic relationship. You'd be surprised all kind of things when you mold together. And I remember when I first got with her, I went to New York and I was urinating in the toilet in New York when she was in Atlanta, because she had come down from D.C. I could smell her urine in my urine. So that means that you do connect. You see what I'm saying? So even when they came up and said, when you have AIDS, you have slept with so many people for so many relationships back. Yes, because that stuff is all this inside of your DNA, and it never goes away. So that means you could have a person you was going with in 1975 or 1965, and one morning you was madly in love with them, but they've been dead since 1978. And then you'll wake up one morning and you'll be in love with them. Anybody ever had this before? Somebody old enough to have a person, and then one morning you wake up and you feel the love that you felt with a person 30 years ago. Anybody had this experience? Huh? Okay, what that is you share a force field and an essence. You see, you share an essence with who you sleep with, and marriage is basically who you copulate with, not with the ceremony. The word marriage comes from the alchemical thing of sexual union, sexual marriage. But in so many words, but I said this at the lecture the other day, that the reason why you feel that love is because when you fall in love, the person who you fall in love with is only the catalyst to produce the dopamine that you have, this euphoria of love. The love that you're actually feeling is actually your own soul. And you thinking you're in love with this person, you don't understand that what you're feeling is your own soul. So that's why 30 years down the road you can feel it again. You see what I'm saying? There's a book called Love is a Fire by Llewellyn Van Lee. Love is a Fire by Llewellyn Van Lee. And what you're supposed to do when you fall in love, if you ever have the opportunity, you're supposed to let it consume you. A lot of men fight it. When I was young, I used to fight it. Go to all my friends, getting their advice, don't want to face the facts. You see what I'm saying? And one brother stepped to me and said, hey man, you need to quit talking to all these guys. See, they're only giving you their experience. And whatever you're going through, you need to know it. It's for you. It's not for them. They can give you all the experience and what you're going to do about this love. But face the fact. So as I got older, I found out, and wiser in this knowledge, you let it consume you. You just surrender to it. Submission is power. So you let it give you the beat down. And then you get the benefits from it. Because all you're doing when you surrender to it, you surrender into your own soul, rising to another level. You see what I'm saying? And when you do that and stuff, you go to another level. And that's the true level of elevation or a true level of going to a high level of spirituality called transformation or transmutation. Y'all all right? Yeah. All right, let me get my glasses. I want to say this and we're going to go into, I want to say this because this is what's going down right now. This is what's going down right now. All right, let me get some glasses. I got a couple pair. Let me hold you over here. Yeah. Yes, I can. I got about 2-3 pair, but yeah. Let me. Yeah, I got it. Look, let me see here now. I want to show you something here. Ain't you blind?
That's what I'm saying.
I got a headache. You 2 miles from a king. I know. You know, she was deaf. She was blind long before I was. This is a new phenomenon. I just got glasses last year. She had them a couple of years before me, so her prescription is a little bit more powerful. You see what I'm saying? I want to show you something here. It's in a book called Cosmic Doctrine by Dion Fortune. The Cosmic Doctrine by Dion Fortune. And this guy is paraphrasing in this particular, Kenneth Grant is paraphrasing the Cosmic Doctrine by Dion Fortune. And let's see here, page 165. I want to read something to you, and I want to read something that actually came into being in the fall of 2007. The fall of 2007. And let's see, 2007. Bear with me 1 minute. I want to get this thing 1 minute. Fall of 2007. And there's a unity. Come to find out that all the gods and the goddesses, you know they say there's evil forces and there's good forces. But there come a time when they say the forces in the heavens will join together and become one. So all this one in heaven is energies and they have become one. Now I want to show you this. The only thing that have become one is us. You see what I'm saying? Now, this has to do with this goddess right here. Her name is Yeminya, and she came in. She even got the little feminine chain on and stuff. So, you know, and I want the people to know if they just turn it on the DVD. You see what I'm saying? I ain't got no sugar in my tank. These are my women. I ain't detecting a hint of mint. This is my woman's glasses now. Okay, now. They talk about Emiya, which is Yeminya in Nigeria, Benin, and it's Yemonja in Nigeria, Yeminya in Santeria, Latin America, where have you, and it's Emiya Dogon. So it says 97 denotes, that's the numerical value, denotes Emiya, the star around the Sirius star system, in which Umo rotates. Now, apparently what had happened was this. That word Umo. Let me get my glasses again. U-M-M-O. And let me explain what this is about. In 1975, there was a guy by the name of Jacqueline Valley. Wrote a book called The Messengers of Deception a little bit later. But he said something happened. Now what happened here is, you all know about the Jehovah's Witness. You had them nuisance up here, knocking on your door on Saturday. All right. But they got some science. You see what I'm saying? They just read the signs wrong. All groups got some science. The Jehovah's Witness had this prophecy in the 70s. Now I remember that they was real big in the 70s. But they had a prophecy that the world would come to the end in 1975. And when the prophecy didn't come true, it broke the system, and they became smaller, and they never was as big as they were before. But they had this prophecy since the 1800s when they formed. Now remember now, the Jehovah's Witness, the Branch Davidians, all of them groups, the Seventh-day Adventists, they all come out of one origin of some preachers and stuff from the 1800s that said that the world would end in 1899 or something. And after that didn't happen, these other splinter groups came out. Or 1888, one of those times. Now anyway, they had this prophecy that the world would end in 1975. They just read the prophecy wrong. The prophecy was in 1975, they had a group of occultists, magicians around the world, that got together and channeled some energy, and an extraterrestrial government, which is always in the spirit realm. Never no physical round tin cans you see out there. That's all the government. Man-made UFOs from 1947 up to now. Our spirit, our vessels are angelic, and they're not physical. And they're ancestral. You see. Notice the difference on what our extraterrestrial forces are. Because the government going to throw you off. You see, they got people operating with little bug eyes on people. That ain't nothing but the government got people drugged up and got a little spacesuit on. Now, y'all all right? Yeah. Okay, now let's follow this. In 1975, a group of people did this transmission. And when the transmission came through, they said a group of star people called UMO. UMO is the name of a self-styled extraterrestrial government, which was recorded under the name The Destination of the Wolf. Remember, Emiya is the Dogon goddess, but the wolf is another symbol of the fox, and all that, and the fox and Anubis and all that stuff, and the pale fox, all that stuff got something to do with the Dogon mysteries of the star Sirius. So, in so many words, this group came from Sirius, the dog star, and said that there was an extraterrestrial government called UMO. Now, listen what's going on here. They write the history years in advance. So, after they got this transmission, the government went to work and started giving you all this UFO crap the way they want to give it with the bug-eyed people and all this. And so now when you read them books, you don't know what to believe, because half the stuff is messed up and stuff, because half that stuff is government agents like David Icke and all of them. They work for the Illuminati. That's right. And you reading all that stuff. And the reptilian they're talking about is the Kundalini people, the Uranus serpent, which is talking about your third eye and your Kundalini energy. That's the reptilian. They are against your energy. So they got you scared of reptilian. You scared of your own energy. The serpentine people. The serpentine fire. Earth, Wind, and Fire has told you that 31 years ago in All album. Now, this UMO that they talked about ended up being something for the future. Ended up being something in the future. Now, and it says that the stars and the configurations that influence or sign or era of or age of Gemini will influence the earth once again. So they're saying that the age of Gemini that they were talking about was something was pre-dynastic Egypt. You would know it as Atlantis, Lemuria, what have you. You see what I'm saying? It's just a part of our history that goes back so remote in the past. You see what I'm saying? And so the speculation on how a lot of this stuff existed, but it did exist. And a lot of it existed in another realm. You see, now, or another frequency. Now, this, they say, will influence the time again. This UMO, this extraterrestrial transmission, in the fall of 2007, because they'll get a transmission and they'll think that it was 1975. The Jehovah's Witnesses thought that the world was going to end because they read the prophecy wrong or the transmission wrong because they got it, and it broke their system. But whatever it was, it came back around in the fall of this year under the name OMOZ, O-M-O-Z, or extraterrestrial government. Osiris, it doesn't matter about how they do the Greek one or whatever, because all that was Egyptian. Osiris, Mayat, Obatala, and Zarabanda. Zarabanda is the Congo. Obatala, Yoruba land, which is Nigeria, and would also extend all the way into America, Santeria. Palo Monombe is the Congo rights in Latin America and in Cuba. And then you got Osiris and Mayat. So Osiris, Mayat, Obatala, and Zarabanda. And each one of these represent a section of black people around the world, because Osiris and Mayat can even go all the way up into India, Asia, what have you. And Zarabanda and Obatala goes all the way to the west.